Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're digging into a pretty specific strategy.
Yeah, one that our sources are framing in a really interesting way.
They're calling it 100% legal, incredibly effective, but rarely taught. I mean, that definitely grabs your attention.
It does. And they also claim it's an approach to listening, high-speed listening, that makes some official examiners very uncomfortable.
Right. That's quite a statement. So what we're doing today is a deep dive into this specific technique, the IELTS listening prediction method.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like just another test trick, maybe, but the claim is it fundamentally changes how you handle information.
Exactly. Our goal here is to really understand why this method supposedly transforms results. We want to unpack how you shift from just, following along with audio
Passively trying to catch up.
to actively leading it,
Mm.
turning what feels like a comprehension test into something more like a prediction exercise.
And what gives this some real weight is where it apparently comes from. This isn't just something someone cooked up for a test.
All right, the source material connects it to intelligence analysts.
Exactly. It highlights that analysts use this same kind of structured prediction when they're trying to pull key information from, say, intercepted communications.
Okay, so think audio that's maybe really fast, maybe poor quality, different
Or
accents.
confusing context, yeah. When the stakes are high, you don't just passively listen. You use logic, you use the context you do have to anticipate the specific data points you need. It's about strategic logic applied to listening.
So for you listening, if you're looking for a really focused, high-impact way to get better at processing information quickly, especially under pressure, this seems like it could be it.
It's presented as a shortcut to being strategically smarter about listening, designed for quick learning and maximum effect.
Okay, but first, let's talk about the problem this whole method is trying to solve, the trap of traditional listening.
Right, because I think everyone knows this feeling.
Oh, yeah. Whether it's a test or maybe even just a fast-paced meeting at work, right?
Mhm.
The audio starts, you're focused, you're trying to keep up.
And then, bam, one little thing trips you up. Maybe a name you didn't quite catch, a number, a specific time.
Or an accent you're not used to. And that one missed detail just throws everything off.
It really does, because your brain immediately goes into backtrack mode. You spend the next, 10, 20, 30 seconds mentally rewinding, trying to figure out what you missed.
And while you're doing that, the speaker's moved on. You've missed the next piece of information. It's a cascade failure.
That panic, that mental backtracking, it just destroys your ability to process what's happening now. You're stuck playing catch-up.
And like you said, accents play a big role. The sources mention British, Australian, Scottish accents common in these kinds of tests, if you're not familiar.
Your brain needs extra processing time, just milliseconds maybe, but enough. It has to decode the sounds, match them to words, figure out the meaning.
And by the time you've done all that mental work for word A, the speaker's already on word D or E-war. You're constantly, psychologically lagging behind.
Always one step behind. And this is precisely the situation the source uses as an example, this student, Jessica.
Right. She had decent English overall.
Yeah, she could understand news, general conversations, things like that. But in practice tests for IELTS listening, she just hit a wall. Band 5. Couldn't get past it.
And her feedback was what you expect. It's just too fast. I can't keep up.
Exactly. So the advice she got was the standard stuff, the misdiagnosis, really.
Which was?
Just listen more. Improve your general comprehension. Listen to BBC News, watch TED Talks, immerse yourself.
And she did that.
She did, spent months doing it, and her general English, her overall understanding, it did get better.
But the test score?
Didn't budge.
Mm.
Still stuck at band 5.
Okay. So the revelation here is pretty crucial.
It's fundamental. The problem wasn't her ear. It wasn't really her English level, not in the way people usually think. It was her strategy.
How she was approaching the task.
Precisely. She was treating it like she had to understand everything, the whole conversation, the nuance, the flow, like a general comprehension exercise.
But that's not what the test is actually assessing, is it?
Not primarily, no. It's not asking, did you follow the whole discussion? It's asking, can you find these 4 or 5 specific isolated pieces of data, a name, a date, a number, embedded within that discussion?
Ah, okay. So it's less about overall understanding and more about information retrieval. Targeted retrieval.
Exactly. It's fundamentally designed, whether intentionally or not, as a test of whether you can anticipate and locate discrete information points quickly. It rewards prediction, not just comprehension.
And this connects to, everyday thinking, doesn't it? If I say I'm going to the supermarket.
You immediately think shopping list, cart, checkout lines, maybe specific aisles. Your brain predicts the context and the likely elements.
You don't just wait blankly for me to list every single item or action.
Right. This method just takes that natural human tendency to anticipate and turns it into a structured, conscious strategy for the test.
Okay, so let's get into the mechanics then. How does this prediction method actually work? What are the steps?
The core idea, the big shift, is moving your mental effort. Instead of waiting for the audio and then trying to find the answer.
Predict the answer before the audio even starts.
Exactly. You use that short preparation time, usually 30 seconds, sometimes a bit more, between the sections. That's your window.
Okay, not a lot of time, so you need a system.
Right. And the sources break it down into 4 clear steps you deploy in that tight time frame.
Step 1.
Question analysis. Purely structural. You look at the question or the gap in the notes, and you identify only the type of information required. Is it a name, a number, maybe with units like kilograms or pounds, a date, a place?
So you're ignoring the surrounding words for a moment and just focusing on the data type.
Precisely. It gives your brain a very specific target, filters out the noise.
Okay, makes sense. Step 2.
Context prediction. Based on everything you can see, the section title, any pictures, the questions themselves, you figure out the general situation. Are we listening to a university lecture on biology? A phone call booking a hotel? A conversation about planning a party?
This sets the scene in your head, primes the vocabulary, the likely topics.
Exactly. It defines the semantic field, the logical framework for what you're about to hear.
Okay, step 1, data type. Step 2, context. Now, step 3 sounds like the really active part.
This is the core of it, yeah. Answer prediction. Now that you know the type of information needed, step 1, and the general context, step 2, you actively predict 2 or 3 specific logical possible answers.
And actually write them down, or just think them.
The sources emphasize writing them down, even if it's just shorthand in the margin. It makes the prediction concrete.
Why is that specific prediction so much better than just having a general idea? Like, if the question is about a library closing time, why predict 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. instead of just thinking, okay, it'll be a time?
This is the psychological key. If you just think it'll be a time, your brain is still in search mode during the audio. It has to listen to everything, identify all the time mentions, compare them, choose the right one. That's a huge cognitive load, especially when the audio is fast.
Okay.
But if you've specifically predicted, say, 5 p.m., 6 p.m., maybe 8 p.m., your brain shifts gears. It's now in confirmation mode. It's listening for one of those specific items.
So it's like you've given your brain a short list.
Exactly. It only needs to recognize one of the predicted options or something very close, and boom, task complete for that question. The cognitive load plummets. You're not searching the whole haystack. You're just checking if one of your predicted needles is there.
Let's use that library example from the source. Question asks for the closing time on Saturday. Without prediction, you're just hoping you hear the phrase clearly.
Right. But with prediction, you think, okay, university library, Saturday. Probably closes earlier than weekdays. Maybe 5 p.m., 6 p.m. Could be later, like 8. You jot down 5:68.
Your brain is now primed for those specific numbers in the context of time.
So when the audio says, and just remember, the library closes promptly at 6 p.m. on Saturdays, you don't just hear it, you recognize it instantly. It clicks because it matches one of your predictions.
It's not a surprise, it's a confirmation.
Precisely. Which leads directly to the final step, step 4, confirmation listening.
Okay.
Your whole job during the audio changes. You're no longer desperately scanning for unknown information. You're simply listening to confirm which of your predictions was correct or maybe slightly adjust it.
So if you predicted 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. and the audio says 7 p.m.
You just cross out your prediction and write 7. You heard the number clearly because you were expecting a number in that slot. You weren't trying to process the whole sentence. You were just listening for the digit. Minimal panic, minimal catch-up.
Okay, the theory sounds powerful. Shifting from searching to confirming. But does it actually work like that under pressure? This brings us back to Jessica.
Right, the case study. Jumped from band 5 to band 7.5 in listening. The sources say it took only 2 weeks of practicing this method.
Same person, same English level, just a different strategy.
Exactly. Think about a typical Section 1 question she used to struggle with, like, what does Sarah need to bring to the first class?
Old Jessica would just listen passively, right? Waiting, hoping to catch the items mentioned in the stream of words.
Yeah, maybe catching one item but missing the second while writing the first one down. Classic problem.
But new Jessica, using the prediction method.
She looks at the question, sees the context is first university class. Yeah. Step 1, needs items, things. Step 2, university class context. Step 3, predicts logical items notebook, textbook, maybe an ID card, a pen, course outline. She jots down NBTXT ID pen.
So her brain is preloaded with those categories.
And when the audio says, make sure you bring your student ID and a notebook for taking notes,
She gets both instantly.
because they were expected data points. They fit the predicted slots. It wasn't about suddenly having better hearing. It was about having a prepared mind.
And the source mentions a tougher test for this method too, right? The
Yeah.
practice test with difficult conditions.
Oh yeah, the nightmare scenario. Heavy Scottish accents and deliberately poor audio quality.
Okay, that sounds designed to cause panic.
For an unprepared listener, absolutely. Anxiety spikes, processing freezes. But Jessica applied the prediction method. Even there, it was a Section 1 restaurant booking.
So what did she predict?
She knew, logically, any restaurant booking audio has to cover certain things. Step 1, needs date, time, number, dietary needs. Step 2, restaurant booking context. Step 3, predicts specifics, a date like Friday or Saturday, a time like 7.3 or 18:0, a number of people 2 or 4, maybe a diet need like vegetarian.
She created a mental checklist based on the situation type.
Exactly. So the accent, while maybe difficult, became less critical. She wasn't trying to understand every single word perfectly. She was listening for data that fit her framework.
And the audio delivered.
Yep. It said something like, we'd need a table for 4 Friday night, say about 6:30. Oh, and one of us is vegetarian.
And she nailed it.
Pulled out all 4 details. 4 people, Friday, 7.3U, 1 vegetarian. Despite the accent and maybe dodgy audio, because the content matched her logical predictions.
Wow. And her final result.
She achieved band 9 on the actual test. Band 9.
From a band 5, that's remarkable.
And her description of the feeling is telling. She said it felt like cheating.
Because she kind of knew what was coming.
She felt like she was always one step ahead of the audio, anticipating the information before it was spoken. The test stopped being a measure of how fast she could hear and became a measure of how well she could predict logically.
Okay, this really does sound powerful. But it also sounds like a skill you need to build. It's not magic. You can't just read the steps and instantly do it in 30 seconds under pressure.
Absolutely not. It requires deliberate, focused practice. You have to internalize the process.
So for you listening now, thinking, okay, I want to try this, how do you actually get good at it?
The sources suggest a structured approach, like a mini training plan, maybe over 4 weeks, focusing on mastering each step systematically.
Okay, break that down. Week 1.
Week 1 is purely question analysis training. You grab practice tests, but you don't even listen to the audio yet. Your only job is to look at the questions, the gaps, and practice identifying only the required data type. Number, name, place, verb. Get really fast and accurate at pinpointing the target signal.
Stripping away the noise, focusing on the required data format. Okay. Week 2.
Week 2, context prediction practice. Now you look at the whole question set for section, titles, any images, the questions together, and you practice writing down a quick summary of the scenario. Uni lecture on bees, booking flight tickets, museum tour info. Get good at quickly establishing the overall situation.
Building that contextual framework. Week 3.
Week 3 is where you really dive into the core skill.
Oh.
Answer prediction development. This is intensive. You take practice sections, and for every single question, you force yourself to write down those 2 or 3 logical, specific predictions.
This probably takes time at first.
Oh yeah, definitely. Don't worry about the 30-second limit yet. Maybe take 5 minutes per section initially. The goal is just to build the mental muscle of generating logical possibilities based on the data type and context. If it needs a price in a hotel booking, maybe predict $150, $200, $250.
Practicing the prediction itself, slowly and deliberately.
Okay.
That leads to week 4.
Week 4, speed prediction. Now you put it all together under time pressure. You practice doing the analysis, context setting, and prediction for all 10 questions in a section within that crucial 30-second window.
That sounds like the biggest hurdle, getting fast enough.
It is, and the key here is prioritization. You might not have time to make detailed predictions for all 10 questions.
Yeah.
Focus on the ones that look trickiest or the ones where prediction seems most likely to help. Don't try to predict everything if you can't do it quickly.
And I guess part of getting faster is recognizing recurring patterns.
Absolutely. You develop these predictive frameworks, you see a hotel booking form, your brain instantly goes, dates, room type, price range, breakfast included, needs these things.
Or A university context.
You predict assignment deadlines, room numbers, maybe professor names, library resources. It becomes automatic.
Job interviews.
Experience needed, salary expectations, start date, location. These scenarios are highly structured and predictable in these tests.
So you're not pulling predictions out of thin air. You're using logical reasoning, pattern recognition.
Just like that intelligence analyst, you're preparing your brain for expected information based on the known structure of the situation.
It's about leveraging the predictability of the test format itself.
Exactly. The more logical and specific your prediction, the calmer your brain is during the audio and the higher your accuracy. Less stress, better results.
So, okay, bringing this all together, what's the bigger picture here? Beyond just getting a better test score, what did this mean for Jessica, for instance?
Well, the sources say this method fundamentally changed how she listened to everything. It wasn't just a test trick she forgot afterwards.
It became her default way of processing information.
Apparently so. It laid the groundwork for her to become a conference interpreter, a job that demands incredibly fast processing of complex, multilingual information.
Wow. So she's constantly using prediction in that high-stakes environment.
That's the implication. She sums it up by saying something like, "The prediction method changed how I approach all listening. I'm always one step ahead of the speaker,
Wow.
anticipating, not just reacting."
Which brings us back to that provocative idea from the start. If this is so effective, potentially life-changing, why isn't it taught more often? Why is it supposedly rarely taught?
Well, the source offers a pretty cynical take on that, connecting it to the language learning industry.
How so?
The traditional model often implies or relies on the idea that you need months, maybe years, of general English improvement, often through expensive courses, to significantly raise your listening score. It focuses on gradual, overall comprehension improvement.
Okay.
But if a student can jump multiple band scores, hitting a band 7 or 8, by mastering a strategic logic method in just a few weeks,
It kind of undermines the need for those long, expensive general comprehension courses, doesn't it?
that's the suggestion. This method emphasizes efficiency, structure, and leveraging the test's own predictability, rather than just prolonged exposure. It's potentially disruptive to a model based on long-term general improvement.
It's like the difference between being given a giant old map of the entire country and hoping you find your way.
Versus getting precise GPS coordinates that take you directly to your destination right now.
Yeah. The argument is that you, the listener, deserve the most effective strategic tool available.
So the challenge for you listening is pretty clear.
Try it yourself. Find any practice listening test, IELTS, TOEFL, even just a news report online where you know the topic beforehand, before you hit play on the first part.
Take 2 minutes, just 2 minutes, look at the questions or think about the topic, and physically write down 2 or 3 specific predictions for the key information you expect to hear. Names, numbers, places, reasons.
Make them concrete, then press play.
And just notice the difference. Feel that anticipation effect. See if you catch things more easily because you are expecting them.
It's about shifting your role. Stop being a passive follower of the audio stream.
Start being an active leader. Use prediction to guide your listening.
The final takeaway here seems really empowering. It's not necessarily about having better ears or needing perfect, flawless English.
It's about having a smarter strategy, a high-leverage approach. Stop letting the audio surprise you. Structure your expectations.
Stop following. Start leading with predictions. If you know what you're listening for, you're far less likely to get lost.